Hey, this is first. If you want to change your mindset, get a copy of my audiobook, The Hustler's Mindset, Pimping Your Mind for Success. And today, for you folks who are getting laid off, I got some jewels for you. Check it out. Hey, this is Glendon Cameron with How to Make a Living Without a Job. This is a critical one, and I decided to do this one because currently I know about 12 people personally who were laid off in the last year or so. And none of these people have a job. So essentially, the title of this joint is, what's the first few things you should do when you get laid off? And I'm going to use some of these examples that I know about intimately. Some of it's kind of crazy. Some of it's going to hurt because I'm not going to be too kind. First thing you need to do is create a secondary source of income as quick as possible. I don't care if you have a 20-month severance package, because this is the thing. I have lived on savings. When you are not working, you typically spend more money than when you're working. Why? You have more free time. Doesn't make sense, but it's true. You'll spend more money when you're not working because you're sitting around, you're frustrated with your job search, and you may go out and blow some money. Some wiser people may put themselves on the budget and not spend that money, but everyone is not wise. So and to create that second source of income, you're sitting on it. This is what you do. And I'm going to give you my laid off story, because I was laid off not once, not twice, but 3 times in 18 months. So I know the sting of going to work to, Glendon, yes, we need to talk to you. Hey, just letting you know, it's not you, it's us, but you need to get the fuck out. Deuces. That's a messed up feeling, because you get up, you're going to work, you got a plan, you're working on projects, and they say, we don't want your janky ass anymore. It's gonna hurt. So you're dealing with that. But go around your house and start immediately. I don't care if you got the severance package, stuff's coming in. Immediately getting rid of stuff you don't need. If you have the super deluxe cable, break it down to basic. If you have lawn service, you're not working. Cut your own damn grass. I'm telling you, I have seen people that kept all this stuff going until it got to the 11th hour, and it was like, whoa, I only got 3 more months, and I have no savings, and then panic sets in. I saw that happen recently, and I was just like, and I understand when you try to tell grown people that you should do this, and people are like, well, I'm going to do what I'm doing. Basically, it's like, I'm fucking grown and I can do what the fuck I want to do, so shut up. And then it's like, hey, can I get a loan? Nope, because you make piss poor decisions. And loaning you money is a seriously bad risk. Anyway, go around your house. Create a list. Use your iPad, whatever, and start that day that you get laid off. I know people are like, oh, like I said, I'm going to tell you my story. Do not sit down. Do not sit down. Don't pause. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Immediately start taking action. Start doing stuff, because it's going to give you a sense of control. Because when you get laid off, you feel powerless. It's like, what the hell? You feel totally powerless. By actually starting some action, taking control, doing some things, you'll make yourself feel better in a very bad situation. So go around the house and start categorizing everything that you don't need. A need is, if you don't have it, you can't function. That's a need. If you can function without it, it's not a need. Create a list. Everything that you do not need has to go. Craigslist, garage sale, set that up immediately. Just start blowing stuff out. Don't even take a day off, go home, call mama, cry with your girlfriends, or go out with drinks with your boys. Forget all that stuff. The time is to take action now. Create a budget. You know what's coming in. You may get unemployment. You may get like 2 weeks pay, whatever. Create a budget and make it lean and mean. No more going out. No more Starbucks. None of that crap. Anything that you don't need, it's got to go. Create a list. If it is not like oxygen, it's gone. Do this the first day. So once you do this and you start, getting rid of stuff, and this is also to keep your mind from wandering in places it doesn't need to wander, because they let you go. It's messed up. But wandering and commiserating about it, It's not going to help you. I am speaking from experience. I've been there. So you do that. Now, this is what you start to do because you've also been given a gift. There are many people that don't do certain things because they have a job. You don't have a job now. This is the time you sit down and say, okay, what do I want to do? You start thinking about those things that you want to do with your life. Create goals, create a list. Because see, this is action. So it also gives you a sense of purpose. You're not sitting at home going, oh Lord, immediately get up, keep your routine, don't overcome by depression in the bed to 2, 3 p.m. It's not going to help you. It's going to make things worse. So now you got this goal sheet. If you want to start a side business, this is the time to do it. I mean, I personally think that everyone needs a side hustle, whether you have a job or not. Because in these economic uncertain times, anything can happen. More sources of income you have, I don't care if it's just one $50 source, that's a bill. Money is money. So you're creating your life map. You're creating a map for a life of intent. You get that going. Then you start creating goals and strategies. Yes, you look for a job because anyone that's looked for a job knows networking, sending out resumes, LinkedIn, reaching out to old people. Segment your day. First 4 hours, bam, hit that job hunt if that's what you want. Next 4 hours, work on Ink You, whatever you want to do. Because there's a lot of hustles that you can create very quickly that will give you not balling income, but sustainable income. Say you're getting, what's unemployment now? I think, $1,200 a month, $1,400 a month. You could create a hustle within a matter of 4 weeks or less, make you $1,500, $2,000, if you know what to do and you have the proper information. For that, check out the Hustler Mindset playlist. There's all kinds of stuff there. Now, while you're doing this, you have to keep the right mindset. You have to keep the right mindset. It is critical. It is totally 100% critical to your success because there's so many things that's going on. Maybe you're a little burnt out from the job. Maybe you want to take a vacation. I actually talked to someone who was transitioning from full-time employment to no employment, and it was in situations different. And I said, don't take the vacation. Don't go to Vegas. We talked recently. And he said that was a good decision because the thing is, if when I was in the military, there was a limit to how much leave you could take because after so many weeks, you lost your military baron, which was 2 months, I think was the max. I don't know what it is now, but when I was in, it was 2 months. If you go ahead and start slipping out of your routine, it's going to take 3 times the effort to get back into it. So instead of just, hey, I don't have a job, you start creating a job. You start doing a list. You call up everyone you know, and this is, if you're a humble person, and it's like, look, I lost my job, anyone that has a job, but do you need anything sold? Do you need anything? Do you need any help? Do you need errands? You create those revenue streams that first week. Now, you're looking for a job, but you got money coming in, which takes a lot of stress off of you. A lot of stress off of you. So, from the top, number 1, you hit the ground running. None of this, I'm going to chill, I'm going to kick back, I'm going to go visit a few people. Seriously. Unless you were just getting an incredible package. And there's people, I know someone that got like almost $1 million package. That's atypical. Most people are going to get 2 weeks to maybe 6 months. And that's going to go just like that. So for most of you, I'm talking to you, hit the ground running. Create an action plan. I don't care if you have to wash cars. I don't care if you have to sell poodles on Craigslist. Do whatever you can as soon as possible. I don't care if it's just $200, $300 extra a week. The money will come in handy. Trust me on that. Because as someone who's lived on a savings, like last year, when I revamped my business, and I was pretty much where a lot of people were. I had $1,500, $2,000 a month coming in passive income, and I was living on savings. I immediately went, crammed down the lifestyle. Well, not too much cramming. I don't live extravagantly anyway. But I went on a budget. I knew what I was dealing with, and I worked my ass off and created another product, the Hustler Mindset Project. I was like, it's time to do another pivot, and I'm doing another pivot. So start, action, whatever. If you never did eBay, open up an eBay account, Amazon account. Go around your house. Anything that you don't need that is not like sentimental, like, your grandma left you something. I understand you don't have to sell that, but you go in your closet and you've got like 8, 9 blouses or shirts or stuff with the tag still on, and you never wore it, and you bought them 2, 3 years ago. Sell that stuff. Get rid of it. Get that money going. And now I'm going to tell you my story, and I'm going to tell you what I did last time I got laid off. And this is really what started me to become a true hustler. I used to call it Scheme Incorporated, because I was from a very conservative background where, good, stable, decent people, you get a job. You get a haircut, you go out and get a job. That's what a respectable person does. So anything that wasn't job related, someone else paying me for my efforts working inside their sandbox, was foreign to me. And I had started businesses, and I really think now that I'm doing this video, is the reason that they didn't work out, because I had the wrong mindset. And that's why I said mindset is totally 100% critical. So I got laid off. I was working for a company by the name of PowerTel, which is now T-Mobile, because it was VoiceStream. It was PowerTel, VoiceStream, then it went to T-Mobile. I was working there, doing well, and I get called in, and the guy's like, yeah, we're making some changes, we're going to have to lay you off. I could possibly get you another 2 weeks. I'm sitting in the chair, and at that moment, I realized now that I made a decision that changed the rest of my life. I said, no, don't worry about the 2 weeks. I'll go now. And that was my last day at that job. And as I was walking, I didn't have any money in the savings. I had like a check coming. I knew I could get unemployment. But I started to think, because my back was, against the wall. Back was against the wall. I had to make something happen. I had to do something. And I didn't really go through these steps in my mind, but I realized that the things that I was doing previously were not enough. The mentality that I used to get those jobs, it had to be something bigger, bolder, grander. And I went back, and at the time I was living in that boarding house. I went to my room, and that's when I started sketching out a map of my life. That's when I went through the numbers of, hey, going back to school, finishing up undergrad, getting a master's, MBA. And I charted that night. I left that job after I got laid off and went home, and I thought, and I planned, and I crunched numbers. I didn't have to go nowhere the next day. I was up to like 3 o'clock in the morning doing this. Put stuff in papers, had stuff taped up on the walls, and it was just like, I figured it'd take me about 28 grand to finish up school and get it, because school was much more affordable back then. And I was like, I was that close. And then another alternative plan was, and some of you would think this is totally unethical, I actually created a job reference for a job that I felt. I went on to monster.com and I looked for jobs I felt I could do, but I didn't have experience. So I created my own reference. This was back then, like Google Voice has totally put this company out of business, but there was, I forget the name of the company, but essentially they sold you a voicemail box for like 15, 25 bucks a month, and it went to your pager. So I created that account, and I used a fake Indian accent and had on the voice recorder for the voicemail. And I went out and applied for jobs, and that's how I got the job at Rent-A-Crate. So I sketched out that whole thing, because it was like, if I go to school, because I was like, I needed to have a better job, because the jobs that I was getting, they were not sufficient. I always needed 1.5 to 2 of them to actually make a living. So I swung high. That's right, I created you can't do this shit now. I'm glad I did it when I did it. Hate me if you want to, say I'm unethical, I don't care. But I created this reference, got this job, which I only stayed at just a little bit under a year. Leapfrog into another job that made another $15,000 increase, and leapfrog from that to another job where in about 2.5, maybe close to 3 years, I went from that guy that was laid off walking down Peachtree Street with my lips stuck out to owning my own company. Now, what was the difference? Mindset. I went from hoping to do something to fuck it, I am going to do something. I'm going to do whatever it takes. Not my best. I'm going to do whatever it takes, which was creating a fake reference to get a better job. The job at Rent-A-Crate was, that one job sustained me. I was able to pay all my bills and have money left over and live from that job because the income was pretty good. It paid well. But that's how I got that job, by not sitting back, not moaning, not being pissed. And I think that kept me from being depressed. So I'm just letting you know, by creating an action plan that includes starting your own business, because when I was in that room and I was looking at stuff and I was crunching numbers, because the thing is, when you sketch stuff out, you write stuff down, you activate different parts of your brain, I started thinking like an owner, because I had taken ownership of my life. I wasn't saying things like, I hope. It's like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And I remember saying this, I'm going to get me a really good job. And in my mind, because I was still kind of a little cloudy about the school thing, I was going to get myself a really good job and probably go to school part-time. But I got myself a really good job, got into a new career, and never thought about going back to school ever again. Because I got around people that were making six figures, and I had a friend who was married to a friend that I used to know when I was working in Scottish Rite in the emergency room. And I saw this guy go from getting divorced because he wasn't making enough money, and there's probably other things I don't know about, to making seven figures. I saw this. And having someone in your life that, when you get to really see the struggle, the hard work, and the success through stages, because, I talked to him, we go out to lunch and everything, and I got to saw his matriculation from, he was ass out. And he's a white dude. Let me just say that. He was a white dude, because there's some people who think, well, white people have these magical lives. No, dude was fucked. Seriously. He went through hell. Then, he kept working. He kept working. And the very thing that his wife, I'm not going to say her name, left him for, because she used to talk to me and say stuff, he stuck with it. That very thing that cost him his marriage is the thing that made him a millionaire. This is something I know. I have intimate knowledge of this. I know how all this whole thing went down. I knew him, I knew her, and I think it was worth it, because he's got a different life now. And the thing is, when you have the audacity to take ownership of your life, and that's what getting laid off does, because getting laid off could be a blessing. Getting laid off could be the best thing that ever happened to you, because that's how I viewed it. I didn't get mad at PowerTel, and I didn't go cussing out and then get on the phone talking bad about them. No, I took action. I took ownership. Because when you take ownership of your life, you create different energy for yourself. You create a different vibe for yourself. And like I said, I was that close to making that decision to just tough it out and go to school, and something said, no. It was just like, no, don't do that. And my whole little ruse worked. And, that was the start of everything that you see before. This is where I got the experience about, because I was always trying to sell, but Rent-A-Crate was a sales-based organization. So I had to get books. I even bought a book. And this is so weird, because I remember buying books from this place, Lupanics, or Lupanics. I don't know if it's still in existence. And there was this one about cold calling. And this book, paid like $19.95. It helped me get so many appointments. So even going back to that, I've always paid for my education. There are a lot of people that have what I call grandiose visions for grandiose visions for the price of beer. Someone would say champagne taste, but a beer budget. But no, they have the champagne budget, but they want the champagne at beer price. And it doesn't work like that. And I really looked at that, because I think I had that book for a long time. I actually gave it to I gave it to somebody because it was so effective. And the thing is, it was $19.95, and there was like about 5 things in that whole book that really helped me, because other stuff it didn't apply, but there was 5 key tips. Like, I'll give you one. Like, if you want to call somebody, and the people at Rent-A-Crate was like, how the hell did you get them to call you back? You call up the prospect, and you said, hey, this is Glendon Cameron for Rent-A-Crate. I'm calling you in reference to blank blank. Make up a name, whoever. And 90% of the time, those people call you back. I was like, it blew me away. It was just like, I was blown away because it's like, I read the book and it's like, this is gonna work. That's how I got the guy that worked for Starbucks. Not Starbucks, Roger Starbuck. Not Starbucks, the coffee place, but Starbucks is a real estate company. And that's how I got him. That's how I got him to call me back. And it was like, yes, he's a little sneaky because the thing is, the guy tells you in the book that, once you get him on, you've got to move really quick because it's a ruse. And they would call and I was like, yeah, I was calling you. Oh, my bad. You were next on my list. Actually, I'm calling you about this. I mean, I would just be seamless, just so quick they didn't even know the okie doke had happened. One lady caught me. She's like, you know what? That was a ruse. This is what she said. She said, that's a ruse, but I'm gonna give you the appointment for innovation because no one's ever gotten me to call them back before. And she knew what was going on. So that's telling you, paying for your education is not a bad thing. But seriously, if you get laid off, take it as a time of introspection. Take it as a time to really shape up your life because there's no time for a pity party. There's no time for woe is me. There's no time. I gave that company back. So what? You gave it. They let you go. There's nothing you can do to change it. It's over. And for you to invest your precious time and energy into things that you cannot change is pretty much the recipe for insanity because you're moving your energy in areas that it will not be productive. Being mad at them, so what? Going off about them, so what? Understand having a week where it's like, fuck that company. Hey, get it out your system. But if you're doing that the second week, the third week, the fourth week, the fifth week, the sixth week, and you're getting drunk, you fucked yourself for 6 weeks over something that you can't change. How wise is that? I'm just saying. So those are some of the steps. When you get laid off, take action. Start making money, start networking, and start thinking about, hey, is this a time in my life that I can actually do what the hell I really want to do? That's what I did, and you see how it turned out. All right, this is Glendon Cameron, and I'll see you on the good side.